Hey guys. As usual, I am going to start talking and wait until you guys can hear what I say. Excellent. Okay. You guys can hear me, so I'm going to start talking. First, um, please, 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 I don't want this chat to turn into, even in a small way, a jump on the ex programmer uh, thing. That would be bad. I don't want it to happen. Please, please don't do that. Um, Look, I can't look at somebody who said, well, I had to do something for my family and it was the best thing I could have done for them, and I'm really sorry, but I had to do it. I can't look at them as an evil human being. Please don't jump on them. Other than that, I am happy to take any questions and talk about beta and talk about new things. So I'll start now. No, Mac. Any chance of pushing up the beta invites into alpha? Yes, indeed. We are going to be letting the betas in earlier. We're going to let them into whether it's separate beta tests or into the alpha tests as well, just as we did with the alphas and alpha testing. It would be unfair not to do the same thing for our beta 1 folks as we did for the alpha folks. So you guys are going to get, you beta 1 guys are going to be getting invites. You're going to be doing other tests. You're going to be very involved. I can absolutely guarantee that. So next. Will the beta be open or closed? The real beta, as opposed to whatever we're going to call the extended alpha, maybe. Will we open it up? The extended alpha will not be open up. That will certainly still be under an NDA. But our plan has been and remains that when we're very comfortable with the beta, we're going to open that up and say, no NDA. All beta ones from patch notes, all beta ones are luck of the draw. Both. There may be some tests where there may be some drawings for it, but we want to get, again, just as we did for our alpha guys, we want to get the beta 1 folks in, as many as possible. As many as possible of them in as early as possible. There we go. Davey, can you speak with opposing factions? No, you cannot. I was against that back in the Dark Age of Camelot days, and if you guys remember, we took some heat for that, and I don't care. I thought it was the right thing to do, and we did it, and we're going to do the same thing here. Question from Reek. Will we get more info on the Vale Walker, Vale Stalker as the stretch goal kicks off? You better believe it. Cloister. Hi, MJ. Any news on the name of the game? Well, I wasn't actually going to say anything about that, but over lunch, Andrew mentioned that, and some of the other guys were talking about it, and I didn't want it to be sort of a hey, this is bad news, but look over here, in that way that people do to distract you. Would you all in the chat like me to tell you if Camelot Unchained is the official name of the game, and do you want to know why it's the official name of the game, if it is the official name of the game? Thanks, Tim. Okay, so I will actually say the name of the game is, yes, it is Camelot Unchained. It was not going to be Camelot Unchained in the beginning. We had another idea. We had another name that I liked very much, and we were going to go with it. We really did spend months and months and trying to figure out what the heck of we should call the game, and we had whiteboards full of names. So when we finally agreed to one, and we were okay, this will be the name that we're going to use. Another company had filed a trademark right before we did in a very similar name. That was, to say the least, a little bit frustrating. And that led to many months of discussions, which led to some, emails from people. Then lawyers got involved. And finally, we, got everything settled out and got the ability to use their name, use that name. And then by the time everything was done, it had been, wow, okay, many, many, many moons, which had turned into years. And so we were kind of at a crossroads. Do we go with a name that I happen to like, and a couple other names as well? Or do we stick with Camelot Unchained? So we're sticking with Camelot Unchained. So we are that, and that is the official name of the game. And I'll put more details up in an update about it. But I don't want to. I really don't want to distract or detract from what we should be talking about here. So, questions, please, people. Happy to answer. Okay, two questions. Scrolled by a little bit too fast, so I can't say your name. But the first one will be about Lady J, and the second about what is beta waiting on senior graphics programmer. In terms of Lady J, she's just fine. We had a couple setbacks. We talked about that a little bit on the forums. We got some unexpected, bad news. Which led to one of those almost surreal conversations where we're in the doctor's office, and actually two doctors were in that office, and they delivered the bad news and made a comment which led to me being a bit perturbed. I mean, I was polite. My dad was a doctor, so I know doctors are not infallible. And I made just a comment of, look, you guys have been wrong so far every single time in what you said about Jan's cancer. And I said, so what's next? I mean, we're waiting on one more test, and is that going to be horrible news as well? And so the lead just said, well, I think we got the report in. Let's check. So he went and he pulled up the report, and the report was awesome. I mean, it was absolutely. For those who want information, breast cancers can be rated on a scale, and probably other cancers as well, I'm just not as familiar with them, on a scale from 1 to 100. 1 being the best possible, and 100 being the worst possible. And below a certain point, they always recommend chemotherapy. And we were expecting that, given how bad everything else had gone, that it was going to be a bad score. And the doctor just looked at us and smiled and said, it's a 4. Nobody gets a 4. I mean, everyone at the office was just so surprised and so happy. And so we were thrilled. So that was really good news. And that meant that Lady J doesn't have to have chemo and only radiation, and then everything will be fine. And it also means, because the score was so low, that the chance of anything really bad happening from this cancer, even though it did metastasize a little, it's called a micrometastasis, Chance of anything bad happening, also the chance of reoccurrence is very, very low. Very, very low. So we were thrilled, overjoyed. As a matter of fact, anytime when Janet and I are doing stuff, or anytime she gets a little sad, I just do this to her. Just put up the 4. And not the Fantastic Four, which hopefully one day will be a good movie, but the 4 to remind her of the news on the oncogene test. So great news, made us very happy. So on the first part of the question, which I'll answer second, regarding are we waiting on a senior graphics programmer? Oh no, not at all. I mean, the work that Andrew and Dave are doing already and have been doing is great. You've seen their work. Obviously, Andrew's Andrew, and now Dave's getting to show more of his chops with the stuff he's been working on with the Skyball, clouds, weather, etc. So that is not hampering us, that is not going to prevent us from going into beta. It's all, just as I said, actually, I don't remember if it was Massively or MMO. And by the way, you guys should check both those sites. Massively and MMO were kind enough to ask some questions about this. We let them know that a delay was coming, and they sent over some great questions. And that should be up on both of their sites. I know it's up on Massively. And I assume it's also up on MMORPG. And so for us, it really is not a question of, well, we have to get this programmer in or we'll never make beta. It's a question of quantity, not quality of code. Will we have enough to open beta? Well, of course, at some point we will. How much, how long will it be? And that's really the key for this delay. We have a whole bunch of new people starting over the next 2 months. A new character artist started on Monday. Another environmental artist started today. We have another artist who is probably going to come here in a couple weeks, and we're going to make a decision on whether to add him to the team as well. And then this week, we signed a senior server engineer. Very experienced guy, a great guy, somebody who we think will really fit in well with the team. And, really one of the nicest things, besides the fact that we think he's a talented and great guy, is that he actually wanted to move here. He and his girlfriend were like, yep, we were going to stay remote, but, from what we see of the team and what we see of Virginia, they are going to, they wanted to move. So instead of having the remote senior server engineer, we're going to have an in-house new senior server engineer, and he'll be joining us in September. So that is great. A pretty, the loss of one program, especially one as talented as Kevin is, hurts. There's no question. We're a team of, right now we have 8 programmers. So losing one senior guy, that is a significant blow to the team. It's not like we have 20 or 30 or 100 programmers here. So losing one does hurt. On the other hand, we've added 2 members to the art team, hopefully a third to the art team, and we've added another programmer again who will be joining us in September. And of course, we continue to scour the woods for programmers. I wonder if that's the problem. We're looking in the woods. Anyway, but we are really continuing. We're working with the same recruiter we had been working with, and Andrew and I are going through resumes. Andrew's working or reviewing a code sample now from one of the candidates on the client side, so we'll see. To answer the question that Vasir has asked a number of times, has the news about Janet and the certainly, what we've been going through for the last couple months, has that hurt me going to the gym? Yeah, it has. I go, but not as often as I did. I need to get back in it. Certainly the news about her oncogene, test was great, and so I actually went last night. So I am going to definitely try to get back into the 3 or 4 times a week instead of maybe once a week. Okay, questions? Will pure healing classes be the only source of heals, or will most classes have a self-heal? No, most classes will not have self-healing. We've been very clear about that. This game is really geared around the strong archetypes, and healers are one of those archetypes. Might there be some limited healing available to players? Yes, but we've been very clear. You cannot play. You need, if you're going to go out in a group, or you're going to defend a castle, or you're going to go out sieging a castle, you kind of want healers with you. They are a major focus of, obviously the classes, and of my, desire to build these strong archetypes for players. Will the crafting dock from Littlefinger, will crafting dock be revealed for all backers? Yes. A number of months ago, both MMORPG and Massively were given access to look at our crafting document and to actually be in the special section of the forums. Due to everything that's been going on here, we haven't, and this is on me, this is absolutely on me, haven't spent as much time in that section of the forums as I like. So that is going to be changing. Now that things are settling back down nicely, I think we can get that going again with those folks so they can do some coverage of it. Question from Fizzle, will CU be ready for DirectX 12? Yes, it certainly will be. Will we use the GPU more efficiently? Oh, yeah. I mean, that's kind of a focus of Andrew. And certainly it's something that's incredibly important to us. We've been very clear about working closely with NVIDIA, and we'll obviously work with AMD as well down the road to make sure that, what we need to do, we have done for all of our backers. So we're going to try to get every bit of power, rendering power we can, out of the cards and the PCs. From Hell Need Weed, will you add more payment methods for the future? Possibly. If you have any suggestions, please send them out to Genesee. Sorry, that wasn't a question. Question from Nomac, if we're going to have strong CC, will we have strong counters to it? Yes, of course, we have to. It would make very little sense to do otherwise. Sorry, I didn't see your name. It went by too quickly. But your question regarding, are we going to have more time in alpha, more hours? Yes, that's something that we're going to be talking about in the next couple of months. I think that we certainly owe it to you guys with this delay. So we're going to have the servers open more often than we originally intended. Crusade, what design documents will we see next? Could be crafting, could be a document as well on classes. Not sure which one will come up first. Depends how things go over the next month. Any news on a German full-time community manager? Seer Gaming? No. I haven't actually been asked personally about any candidate. I guess if there are candidates in the hopper, I'll check and find out. Would you say the final release from Makey 7 will be in 2017? Honestly, I don't know. And the reason I don't know, and again, this is not me being in any way evasive, because I'm not. Not only did you guys see the video, but I'll sit here and answer questions about all this stuff. I'm not evasive, happy to answer this stuff head on and talk to you guys directly instead of through a community manager, as most games do. The reason I don't want to say anything, I don't want to say anything about that now, is that we're continuing to hire, and we're going to continue to be aggressive in hiring. Um, there is no doubt in my mind that if we can't hire more programmers, of course we're going to be later. But if we can hire more programmers, and we can even go, sort of like X budget was a term at EA and other companies for going beyond your budget, I'd be willing to do that to help do a better, job on meeting schedule while maintaining quality. So I'm really not being evasive. So much, again, we have 8 programmers. So much is dependent on our ability to hire. If this was really a question of the quality of our code, that would be a different story. If I was sitting here going, yeah, guys, I got to give you some bad news. We just had to throw out the entire engine and start again. Or, hey, sorry, that network code that we had been so proud of, actually, it wasn't handling 2,000 people. It was only handling 20 people. That'd be a whole different story. That would be horrible. And then you would be very concerned. And nothing like that has happened. Nothing like that has even come close to happening. It really is just we need more hands to do more things. And so, having 2 extra programmers would have, obviously a very significant impact, on our schedule. Because unlike Dark Age of Camelot or Warhammer, this is not a PvE game with a ton of quests and NPCs. So we don't, or we won't be, as dependent on all the other disciplines as those games were. So getting some additional programmers makes a big difference. From Chris, will races be among information released during the summer? Yes, there may be some additional information on races, but we do have obviously the crafting system and the classes that we know that you guys want to know a lot about, especially classes. So that is a focus for us for the remainder of the summer. As you folks know, when it comes to races, we've said right from the beginning that we're going to put out an awful lot of races, some of whom will not make it, into the game. That you folks will be voting on some of the races. So luckily, we have time for that. Mimsum about realm ranks. Look, this is one of those questions that I answer all the time. Everything about this game is realm ranks. That's how you need to look at it. All this is about RVR. Everything you do is about RVR. So, the idea of gaining new abilities from being involved in RVR or gaining new, visual elements, it's all about the game. This is all what the game is about. So yes, of course, as you level up your character, as you learn new abilities, as you progress through obviously a horizontal, not a vertical progression system, there'll be other things that you'll be getting. So for those Dark Age fans or for people who've looked at the concept of realm ranks and said, but there are no realm ranks in the game, I remind everyone that realm ranks were added to Dark Age of Camelot and other games as a way to measure progression through RVR, and this whole game is about measuring progression through RVR. Question from Hemo, will the physics of the characters change later, or is it done? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Nothing is done when it comes to certainly the physics and people moving. We don't have movement speeds. We're just now getting some interesting effects when one big character runs into a smaller character. So, not done, and it's going to change a lot. From M.H. Krugen, how is the air system going to work for allies? If you want to combine your fireball with an ally's lightning ball, how do you do that? With practice. Am I satisfied with the current font selection from Zanzibar? I don't think we've spent a lot of time on that yet. So no, certainly anything but final. Question didn't see from whom about can we use cube system to tunnel? The answer is no. We've been very clear about that from the beginning, that the idea of tunneling or sapping walls and all that, we have no interest in at the present time. We've looked at it from technical angles and design angles, and it's all going to be interesting, for games that want to implement a system like that. Could we do it technically? Of course we can do it technically. But technically is not the challenge. The challenge is, can it work design-wise? And for you folks who are hardcore RVRs, you can imagine the issues that would happen with that, especially, 3 or 4 in the morning. Any news on Cube being a standalone app? We're not focusing on that, especially now. With the delay, we're not going to spend a lot of time worrying about it as a standalone app. But we're going to continue to add to it, of course, because frankly, it's part of the game. So doing things within Cube certainly translates to doing things within Camelot Unchained. From Tywin, are we planning on any add-ons or allowing any third-party add-ons? We already have. It was part of the game's design right from the beginning about building the UI out of the web. Andrew had a pretty awesome thought about that right from the get-go, and we did a video about it. Please check it out. We already have a bunch of our backers designing mods for the game that some of them are pretty awesome. Zacharick says, see, you still going to have some action elements even without it being an action game. The answer to that, it is yes. It is not an action game. Are there some things that may be considered closer to action? Absolutely. Nothing has changed. How are things on the RVR map from Clethevo? Any progress apart from the design doc? No, we haven't worked on it yet. We can't. We have other things that we need to do first. Like, as Andrew showed in one of his vines, the terrain editor for procedurally generated terrain editor. Which possible to not show names above characters? Well, of course. This is alpha. We want the names up there. The names won't be visible while you're playing the game. That would kind of defeat the whole purpose, especially when you get into stealth. Oh look, there's a guy. I can just tab target and find him. Frimster, how will you prevent hackers, and do you have the resources to do something about it? Well, that's one of the things that we're doing. I mean, right from the beginning, and one of the crucial reasons to do server-side physics. Anything is hackable. We all know that. Anyone who doesn't think anything is hackable obviously hasn't been paying attention. So if I was going to sit here and go, don't worry, guys, we have a client-side solution that is unhackable. We're really smart guys. You guys should all ask for your refunds because obviously I'm a deluded SOB. So one of the ways we decided we could fight them is with server-side physics. Now, again, could our servers be hacked like other people's servers have been hacked? Of course, people can try to do that and can accomplish that. But assuming that they can't, the server-side physics eliminates a lot, not all, of the common hacks that people use. So that's why we did it. And that's why, we're spending the time and the effort to work with NVIDIA and to take their PhysX library, which was and is a client-based library, and port it to the server and make it work for the server, which of course is challenging. And we're fortunate enough to have guys like Rob, who joined our team last year, and has been doing a great job in physics, and the rest of the team who work with him and support him to get this system integrated and running well. General question about how we can balance attacks so not to make it battles last too long or be too short. That's an ongoing thing for any game. Forget about a game that's in alpha like we are. That's something that's always going to be a challenge. Kamakan, what will this game bring for the casual players who only get a couple of hours a week to play? Well, I think that's one of the beauties of the horizontal system, plus the progression system that we outlined during the BSC days. We were very clear from the beginning of this Kickstarter that this game was not going to be the typical, what has become the typical theme park game, where you can level up your tune if you're a hardcore player in a few weeks, and then you're done. Whether you then go into RVR, in some games, or you're just done until there's a patch, or you run an alt, we weren't going to go that route. So there is going to be a slower progression system and a horizontal progression system. You cannot simply play the game 24 hours a day for 2 weeks or a month and be leveled up. So the casual players will not fall as far behind as the guys who have more hours to play. Also, because of the way we outlined our progression system, the idea of these 24-hour reward periods, you'll be able to come in, play a few hours, and see some improvements to your character, see some rewards from your realm, especially depending on how well your realm does. And that's a really different system from most MMOs. So do I think that casuals will enjoy playing this game? Yeah, absolutely. Again, I think the biggest difference, forget even the interesting and I think very cool progression system, the mere fact that because this game is not geared to people who will come in and level their characters in a few weeks so they can get out to the end game, will mean that the casual folks can come in and say, hey, I can still play as a new player or as even a player who's only been playing for a month, but casually, and still compete. And that's a huge change, a huge change. Iron Fist, what did you mean by this isn't an action game? I mean it's not Terror. I mean it's not Guild Wars 2. Been very clear about that before the Kickstarter even began. And even more clear during the Kickstarter and after the Kickstarter. We're not trying to do an action game where you hit keys to dodge and it's all about moving as quickly as you can, jumping around, bunny hopping around the battlefield. That's not what this game is about. There are lots of good games out there that you can do that. This is not one of them. Tricon, how are the depths coming along? Haven't done a thing for them, nor should we. As you folks know, we've been focusing on tech, and more tech. The addition of the new artists will help us, get to that point. We're not at that point yet, and it was not an easy decision. I certainly would love to have done that and work on the depths because, let's face it, the depths are my idea. And I want to make them dark and creepy and fun. But we can't, working on them now would make no sense. It would be a waste of time and a waste of your money. We need to get the tech, done first. And that's what we've been focusing on. Which is why, and I'll reemphasize yet again, which is why we're still under budget. And makes me happy. How are we going to deal with cube structures in the live game? That's exactly what we're working on now, and it's something that Rob, for example, has made a lot of improvements on in terms of his code, and Dave even vined, a minor improvement in frame rate yesterday. So if you haven't checked out that vine, you should. I think he was at 7 frames per second. Did a little code magic, and we were up to 60 frames a second. What will be the next improvements that we'll see in the game? We're working on weather. We're working on getting Andrew's new terrain in the game. We're working on a whole lot of things. The next 6 weeks, we'll see a lot of changes to the game. It's really that simple. And if the new artists work out, even better, because we can start showing or putting in some things to make the game build look more like a world. And that's absolutely part of our focus going forward. A question about all skills get cooldowns, only specific ones. Right now the plan is for all skills to have cooldowns. You cannot simply spam any skill again and again and again and again. The length of the cooldowns, of course, will depend on what makes the most sense in the game. Question from Crevette, shall we only have 5 powers in our action bar? Not a chance. Guys, I've told you all right from the beginning, we're going to have lots of action bars. You can put up as many action bars as you want, as many abilities on your UI as you want. This is not a game that is intended to be ported over to the console anytime soon. Cube, who knows if we ever did a standalone version. But the idea that you could only have a limited skill set in this game does not fit. You know, we've said that right from the beginning. We've said that a year ago. We're saying it now. It is up to you. Pick the number of abilities you want, and that's what you got. Chandris, what's the next stretch goal? Please, any clue? Oh, it's hiding somewhere. Osir, can we design the UI as we want? Yes. That's the whole absolute key to building the game out of the web. I beat you to it, Tim. A question from Shablo05. What is the unexpected challenges that we've had to put up with? Hiring. I never thought it was going to be that bad. I really didn't. Andrew and I never had any concept that it was going to be this tough. So, love you too, Tim. Will there be any realm moderation on obscene buildings? Most likely. We haven't decided yet, but there'll certainly be something that we'll want to do about certain buildings. Zubai, when will we be seeing the incredible looking trees, grass, and flowers in the test? I don't know if I consider them incredible. They're certainly good. Soon, hopefully. Very soon. Mograth, have you considered moving the studio since it's very hard to attract talent? Yes, it is something the studio had talked about, but we certainly are not doing that yet. Are we selling our artists short at all by saying, hey, they're not incredible? No, not really. They haven't spent a lot of time on it. That's certainly something that we haven't focused on, and we'll focus on more going forward. Zandak, have you considered any anti-Zerg measures? Man, that's something we talk about all the time. Yes, 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 and more yes. Are we going to see marine or naval combat in the game? No, not certainly not in any planned stretch goal. Not even post-release stretch goal. Do I like the idea of adding naval combat at some point? Oh, absolutely, it'd be great. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever right now. No. From Stylebrand, are there mirrored classes? No, no mirrored classes. Been very clear about the fact that we're not going to have any mirrored classes. Question from Doc X. Would I like to take back my comments about the old Fantastic Four movies being bad? Look, I love the Fantastic Four. They were one of my favorite comic books growing up. I was a big comic book nerd, absolutely. I honestly thought that some of the casting in those first two movies left a bit to be desired, as well as the stories. When you look at the quality of other superhero movies, I don't know how the new movie will be. I hope it's great. I'll probably go see Ant-Man tonight. I was just very, like a lot of people, kind of, disappointed. Though certainly the actor who they hired to play Reed Richards, and his name has just escaped me. Sorry. Was one of my favorites from he was the star of the Horatio Hornblower miniseries. And I actually thought he'd be great as Reed Richards. When will the next class reveal be? Sometime most likely in the next 2 months. Question about global cooldown. No, there is no global cooldown. We've said from the beginning that mechanic is not one we're using. Cooldowns are based on your skills. Will we have short-range teleports potentially as a dodge? Well, one of the becoming stories involves a Lucapan who has the ability to teleport. So take a guess. Any plans on costumes or the ability to transmogrify your character and change their appearance? I certainly know the artists would love to have more time for costumes and other, bright shinies. So, depending on how much time we have, certainly costumes are something that they would like to do, and I'm fine with it. It's just nothing we can be focused on. Odds TV, will there be an API for developers to build fan sites that can get information directly from your servers and games? Well, yes. From Wando, why all the evasion on stealth? Aren't they extremely component of RVR? Stay tuned. Will there be catapults with Lucapans? I'm all for it. I was all for the Orcs and the Orcapult. That was one of my favorite ads, fun ads to Warhammer. Love that video. Love the idea of, firing yourself via a pult. So I think Lucapans will be doing it. Question on tab targeting or free mouse skill shots. You'll find out soon. What we have said is that there has to be tab targeting for some things. In terms of free targeting, we also have that right now. For example, you fire fireball spells, and if you don't have a target, they'll just fire along the trajectory they should. Just to correct that about the delayed beta for a few months because of just failed hire, no. It would not be fair, just as I said in the video, to put it all on a failed hire or failed hiring. It was going to be, look, it was going to be tight. We knew it was going to be tight. We talked on the forums even that, it was going to be tight. So, you can't blame one person. You just can't. This is, one of the things I said, much to, I'm not quite sure how to phrase this, but much to my regret was back at EA when I was asked if I should blame a couple of people for Warhammer being delayed. And I said, nope, we succeed as a team or we fail as a team. Same thing here. I'm not going to throw anybody individually under a bus. We shouldn't. That's unfair to that person. And as a team, we bear the responsibility. And that's why I'm here. How long is it going to be for the delay for the next? How long is the delay going to be for beta? September. We want to get the new people in. We want to see how it works, and then we'll tell you guys. Not being evasive, but as I said, in the interviews, if I give you a date now, it's going to be wrong because we're getting a whole bunch of new people here. And if they work out, fabulous. If they don't work out, the last thing I want to do is give you a date and then go, oops, sorry, wrong again. So be patient, please, 2 months. After all, the last day that beta could have started anyway is 6 weeks from now. So, it's not much longer after that when we'll announce the new date. We have some things that we want to also try to get in place before then. So, I think you'll be pleased with where we'll be. Will we see more gameplay before or after the beta? Oh, you'll see more before. We are certainly going to continue to test even more heavily than we have been, certainly. And we also want to get some streamers in as we put in Andrew's, new terrain and get grass and flowers and water and Dave's sky and weather in. So you guys will actually be seeing more of the world in the next 6 weeks than you might have anyway. Myth Game Stream, why the move from traditional human characters to all more fantastic races? You probably missed what I said a number of months ago, that we are going to be doing more human races. We took a poll on that, and we got feedback from all of our backers, which is why we do these surveys, and they said they want more human races. So I've been thinking about, and we're going to start working on some more humans to add to the mix. It was never intended to be all fantastic races. We know we need a mix, and so that's what you guys will be seeing, a mix of human and fantastic races. Paul, you don't remember that poll? It's an old poll. Hopefully you were a backer then, but it certainly went out. I have the results, and they said they wanted more human races. Fabulous, more human races. Easy enough. For a question of how we're going to implement stealth, again, stay tuned. From Pezzy, and I'll let you guys in the stream answer this because you guys know me by now. Are we going to have breast physics in this game? Come on, guys. You know what I'm going to say about that. Yeah, thanks, guys, who are saying yes. No, the answer is no. Thank you. There will not be breast physics, and there will not be anything like that. We certainly are not trying for that. That is a waste of our time. So there will not be breast physics in this game. Mel Knight, good question. How do you visually vision the end product of your game compared to other games? Um, So we've been very clear that we're not trying to make this game look like, for example, a game out of the Cry engine. The focus here is not on making this the prettiest game that it can be. We want to make this a game that we can have large scale battles and still maintain a very high frame rate. And so you have to sacrifice something. Are we willing to sacrifice some of the visual quality in order to have these large scale, hundreds and hundreds of people in a small space? And I mean a small space. We've already had, a heck of a lot more than that in a large space. And so, do we want it to look good? Absolutely. Do we want it? Are we going to try to make it as to look as good as possible compared to other games? No, we're not, because that's not what you guys care about. That's not what the backers of the Kickstarter wanted. We were very clear, then, and are going to be just as clear now that this game has to look good, but it's not going to look as good as other games that are currently out there. There's too much of a sacrifice you have to make, and it doesn't matter whether it's a small team like us doing this, or it doesn't matter if you're a larger team trying to pull off a game using that engine. At the end of the day, it all boils down to how many triangles you're going to have on the screen, and we're willing to give some up in order to make sure that you guys can have those large scale battles where you don't have a frame rate of 2. And it's a great engine. And by the way, just for the comment about the Cry engine, it's a great engine. And there are other great engines out there. They're fabulous. They're outstanding. But they do different things than what we're doing here. We are focusing on doing one thing really, really well, and that's RVR combat. Question from Littlefinger: will there be any other BSC days? Absolutely. I'd love to do that again, but we have to be closer to where we are, or we need to be before we have another BSC day. I've always said, both here and on the forums, and also in places like Massively and MMORPG, look, words are one thing, deeds are another. And we've put out a lot of words, and we've made a lot of progress, and now it's deeds. And so that's what we need to focus on. And I could certainly go in front of you with all sorts of fancy presentations. Well, not too fancy. We don't do fancy well here. And tell you some really great stories about things we like to do and try to do that to solicit more money from you folks. That's just not how we do things. So, we've talked a lot, and, we laid out where we wanted to go, and we did that, I think, pretty well, and now we're moving forward and continue to move forward, and we have to get to where we need to before we can have another BSC day. Are we considering Steam boxes at all? No, we are not. Not because we have anything against Steam boxes, but because no. We can't focus on anything else yet. Question I saw come up is, are we Windows 10 ready? Nope. We actually don't have a copy of Windows 10 here. So it's kind of hard to have it Windows 10 ready. Any chance to have a basic implementation of groups in the game soon? Soon, yes. It's actually one of the things we've talked about last week. No, Matt, can you describe on your opinion? Can you describe our opinion of what's the best way to go forward with balancing the game post-launch? Um, I think it's the same thing that other games have done, which is try to be smart, figure you're going to be stupid at times, you're going to make mistakes, try not to nerf something to death, and yeah, that's it. Oh, I'm sorry, I was distracted by Windows comment. Yeah, by Andrew's comment about Windows. Well, we don't have one in the office. You have one at home. I don't have one yet. I'm waiting for my download. Any detail on group size? The only thing I've said is the same thing that we've said from the beginning of the Kickstarter onward. That we're going to have multiple group sizes, and that we want to find what group sizes work best for our players. I don't have any preconceived notions of what has to be the right group size, because that would be dumb. We have to see how the game develops. We have to look at the ability system, obviously the air system, look at the classes and go, okay, what's the right group size? If I say, hey, it's 8 or 7 or 9 at this point, and people go, yay, no, then it makes no sense, because that's going to change as things develop. Who manages the schedule in the office? Tyler, our producer. Binsky, I'm glad you're excited about this. So are we. Thank you very much. Iron Fist, what will you do to make melee players viable in combat? You'll see. We've got some pretty good ideas about that. I think they are and will be very viable in combat. Schnabel, is this our own engine? Yes, it is. Everything except right now NVIDIA's libraries on the client and the server, and we don't have all of them obviously implemented, or we would tell you. We're using AudioConnect's WWise engine, and that's pretty much it. There are those small bits and pieces we bought, but not much. And almost everything here has been written by the team from scratch. Freed, will large group guilds be punished at all, whether by siege or logistics? Only by people who outplay them. Sorry, I mean, are we going to look to penalize large guilds or large groups? Penalize is the wrong word. Do we want to have a server that's dominated by a couple of guilds? No, we don't. Do you consider that punishing them? If you do, then maybe we are. We've been very clear. We don't know what will be the size limit that we will have. We certainly know that we want guilds of different sizes. We also know we don't want unlimited size guilds. So we'll be somewhere in between? Absolutely. From Odds TV, how do you see the endgame PvP being in this game? There is no endgame PvP in this game. The entire game is PvP and RVR. Absolutely everything. You start in RVR, you end in RVR. Everything is available to be taken down other than the starting cities. Those need to be safe and will stay safe. They are separated from the main map as we laid out in the map presentation. Everything else is up to you. There was looked like a good question. Sorry, I scrolled very quickly about, tanks and different mechanics. That's something that Ben and I are working on right now, laying out a whole bunch of interesting things for you folks. So be a little patient, please, and we'll be talking about classes in much more in depth over the coming months. Oh, easy one here from Artilla. Does CU have balance around gears and stats? Nope. Gear in this game is not as important as gear in the vast majority of other MMOs. We've been very clear about that from the beginning, even again before the opening of the Kickstarter, that this is not going to be a gear grinding game. That's not what this is about, and it wasn't then, and it won't be now. Will there be an overarching storyline to the game? Absolutely. That's part of the stories that I was writing from the beginning. Max has come on board and been writing as well. There's going to be an awful lot of lore for a non-PvE game for Camelot Unchained. And I think you guys, so far, have seemed to like it, and hopefully you'll like it more as we go forward. Shabla, how has my vision evolved from the Kickstarter to now? I think it's gotten a little worse. I'm wearing my, oh, that's not what you meant. No, has the game's vision changed a lot since the Kickstarter? No, not really. We are still pretty content with the way things are going. So with a lot of lore, will there be places of interest or power? Yeah, we called them places of power during the Kickstarter. That also hasn't changed. Might we have spells that screw the enemy's mind? Absolutely. It's a form of crowd control, or, a form of control. And crowd control, obviously, actually affects crowds. Question on, will there be EU and US servers? That's up to our backers. We've said this right from the beginning. We are not going to limit servers by region. We promised our friends and backers in the EU and beyond that we weren't going to say sorry, only the US for US and only Europe and for Europe. What we're going to do is let you guys tell us what you want. Would I be happy if all we had were servers, on Amazon's cloud that were based in the US? If you guys are happy. If there are going to be servers, if you guys want servers in the EU, we'll spin up servers in the EU. This is what we want to hear from you folks. And we've talked about this in other updates. We've talked about it on the forums. We'll talk about this until the day the servers go up. I don't care. I am very happy to put these servers up in areas to support our backers. And that's all. That's all that matters. It's what you guys, want. Do I think EU players will actually enjoy playing on high latency on US servers? Well, first you have to assume that it is always going to be high latency, because after all, it is a matter of distance, right? And there may be people who could be playing on the US servers who would have less lag and better performance playing here than they could play somewhere else, depending on where they're from and where the EU servers are. Do I think they enjoy it? Again, this is your choice, not mine. I'm not going to force a single a single person from the EU to play a US server. That would be dumb. That's not what we told you guys. We told you that we were going to have both servers if you guys want it. It is that simple. It is not my choice, and if all of our European backers said, yes, we only want I only want US, we would do that. If they say they only want EU, that's fine as well. I don't care. It's just a matter of where we put them. And we need to support the guys who back this game. And that's what we're going to do. What sort of trade chat and global chat options will there be? A lot. Are guild and alliances going to level from Tricon? I would love to have a living guild system like in another game I was part of. Um, but who knows? Hopefully, if we have time for that. From Big Fat Animal, can I fire CSE Tim? Well, I could if I really wanted to, but I'd have to have about 10 tons of brain damage to want to do that. So, no, not going to happen. Could I talk a little bit about dragons? No, I'm sorry, not today. It's not that I don't want to. I'd like to, but I really want to focus more on other things that short term are certainly more important to the game, especially around the delay. Shablo, when will we hear the true name of CU? I just said it. Uh, about 45 minutes ago? Camelot Unchained is the official name. It is not going to be what it was going to be until things happened. So, Camelot Unchained. In-game chat, of course, it's been from Trondor. We've had in-game chat. We'll continue to have in-game chat. We've got a great system. Works quite well already. From Londo, how giant will our giants be? We want them to be pretty big. I'm not sure they'll be Game of Thrones big, but they will be big. There are no plans for any arena launch, but it was something you would consider in the future. Boy, I always hate questions that talk too much about the future because you kind of lock yourself in, and people remember what you said and when you weren't sure of the answer. So what I'll say for now is no, we aren't considering that. The only thing that we will have, we've talked about that or not, that is instanced in any way, would be the starting areas for players, that if we have a system where new folks come into the game, that we want to give them a chance to learn. So we might have something like that. But other than that, no. I love Battlegrounds. It was obviously a great add to Dark Age. But right now, no. Will roleplay be supported? That's been an ongoing subject, both during the Kickstarter and our forums. I'm all for a roleplay server if people want that. Question about, is there going to be a Darkness Falls-like zone? Check out the depths. It's pretty cool. Question, are we going to have duels? Sorry, I have been ignoring this question. My apologies. Right now, there is no plan for dueling system. It certainly is something that can be abusive in other games. Might we consider it under the right circumstances? Possibly, but I certainly don't want to do it in a way that would just be a pain in the butt, mainly for other players. Drew, when is the next concept ship sale? Probably a couple weeks after the last one. Littlefinger, will small races get smaller and smaller with time and progression? We haven't really talked about that mechanic. Is it possible that we could have a race that goes that way? Hey, why not? In some of the literature, obviously Merlin went backwards in time, so why not? From Toronto, what's your main literary source for Camelot Unchained lore? Everything that Max and I can read. I mean, we're pulling from all sorts of different sources to create the stories here. Okay, guys, so we're coming up on, well, actually more than an hour, but I'll continue, going. But let's plan on wrapping this up certainly no later than 5. Will there be uniform speed for groups? How else can groups stick together? Well, that's might be a reason to have a class that is kind of focused on speed. The other way would be to actually run slower with the guys who, when you're one of the faster characters. Will the game speed increase compared to the videos? Possibly in some ways. In other ways, it may even be slowed down. Certainly some of the big siege spells are going to be slower to cast than they currently are. Right now we're using, a good example of some of those fireballs that are really intended to be siege spells. You're using them against people, and they won't be as effective for that, mainly because of the casting time. But they're great to get the mechanics of those things in now. And since until very recently, throwing fireballs at a wall didn't make much of a difference. Now we can start adjusting it. And so making some of those spells more effective against walls and slower to cast, and then go to some of the other spells that really should have been and should be used against other players. Question regarding duels and testing your own abilities. Yes, you'll be able to test your own abilities. Of course, you need to be able to do that. Question from Shabo, what has been the hardest position to fill? Hands down, senior graphics programmer to complement Andrew and Dave. We've had that position open forever, and we had one guy, and well, you know the story there. So I would say that would be the hardest position to fill. We spoke, question from Kamer about scheduled downtime. No, we haven't talked about that internally since. There was no point. Londo, will Zerg be able to destroy structures in minutes? No, they can't. Obviously, if you have a castle and you spend days or even weeks, with super reinforced materials, and you built this incredible castle, if a Zerg could come in and destroy a castle in minutes, well, what would be the point? So yes, Zergs are a consideration of ours. To answer also Dirty Ratty Ogre, the ability to destroy a castle or these structures that are meant to be very resilient almost instantly, that can't happen. That would be stupid. We don't want to have a game where you can be spending, a lot of time building these great structures, and then a Zerg comes in and wipes it out in minutes. That's going to be a quit point for you guys. And so, no. Toza, another question about credit card, pay-safe cards. Look, we're interested in certainly other ways that are going to be for billing that will answer our backers' needs. It's really no, I don't really care which one we use as long as it's safe, secure, and our backers are happy with it. PK, that was a long question. It scrolled up. If you want to try it again, I got about half of it. And see if you can, shorten it a bit. Will we have bacon in the game? I hope so. Everyone loves bacon. Amber, is there any particular reason why we're not promoting a junior guy to senior? Yeah, well, he's not senior. We need another senior guy. It's honestly, it's that simple. It's not a question of promoting. Dave is doing senior level stuff, but he's not a guy with 20 years experience in the industry. Sorry, PK, too much talk. Still scrolled way past. When we see a tree hiding in the forest with a duck face. No, well, look, we love our ducks, um, but ducks don't belong as much in the game. Now they're fun, but not in once the game goes live. Um, Good answer, Tim. Thank you. There you go, Amber. Look what Tim said. Littlefinger, will we see spaceships in the CU sky? No, not in that way, certainly. Um, we're that would be interesting. Well, okay, so now I see your question, PK, and I'm sorry, I don't understand it. Are you saying that people shouldn't be able to be effective in groups? Because that's what it seems like you're saying. Will some characters be more useful in groups than they are solo? Well, of course they will be. If you have a healer type who just wants to heal, well, he's going to kind of be more effective in a group. So if there's a different way for you to word that question, if I'm not understanding it, would you please do that? I'll be happy to answer it. Will a group of players be able to destroy your castle keep overnight when most people are asleep? From Davy. Well, certainly that's an issue in any RVR game, just as it was with Dark Age and Relics and other games, where you can be attacked at any time of the day or night, and that's something we have to address. From Tricon, could a Veilstorm tear apart a castle? In theory, it could. Malevolence certainly could. But we don't want to use that as a device to randomly destroy people's castles. We talked about potentially using that if we need to do a reset of a server or things like that, and not really a reset, especially with other games out there actually talk about using resets. But a bit of a balancing act, as we talked about during the Kickstarter, absolutely. Can I hint on future updates? The next update involves classes. Will there be hidden Easter eggs for Chuckles? Yeah, I hope so. I love Easter eggs, and I think having um, something or some fun things, I'm all for it. How will you be able to travel from an island to another island and see you? At a minimum, will be boats, certainly. We need to be able to get you to that other island. Can I delve into Infinity right now, Sacrix? Nope, can't. Sorry. Will there be developer-controlled events? Possibly, but it's not something that I want us, especially on the non-roleplay server, to focus on. Donnie, am I allowed to play anything other than a Strim? Yeah, I've played other things than a Strim, just not a lot. Question about mounts, and this is one that certainly people have asked before. I like mounts. I'd like to add mounts to the game, but we haven't committed to mounts yet. I want to make sure that we're not, either adding to the development schedule or in some way screwing things up for the speed classes. 100 by 100 keep warfare going to happen or not? It has to happen. If it doesn't happen, we screwed up. We sold this game as large-scale battles, and if we can't do 100 by 100, then we failed. It's really that simple. Paul, oh, you pronounce strim. Let me tell you, Paul, the last thing you should do in this world is take in account how I pronounce things. I pronounce things like a guy from the Bronx, and not even a particularly well-spoken gentleman from the Bronx. Disgrace to my father's name. He was a proper Englishman who had a lovely accent and spoke beautifully, and I kind of ended up like speaking like somebody from the Bronx. Will we have in-game moderators to silence and ban gold sellers? Oh man, come on, OD. You know what I like. I mean, you know what I'm gonna do with gold sellers in this game. Please, of course, I will take great joy in balancing the server population by throwing out gold sellers. Yeah, no, that bringing out the ban hammer. My screen just froze, so let me know if you guys are getting updates from me. It looks like you are, but maybe not. Yes, no. Guys, are you hearing me? Okay, great. Okay, 19 minutes, guys, because I am going to wrap it up at 5 o'clock. Will there be different types of boats? Yeah, hopefully. Will there be boat wars? No, not certainly in the short term. Iram, I like this question. Haven't seen your name before. If you could take one thing from Warhammer and perfect it to put in the game, what would it be? Thank you. I love that question. It would be the idea of having really cool classes with really cool mechanics. I think the team did a fabulous job, on the classes for that game. Were there issues with them? Absolutely. There are always issues with any aspect of an MMO. But some of the classes in Warhammer were just awesome. And I hope that as we create these classes on our own, without obviously not having a fine company like Games Workshop materials to draw on, that we can do a really good job with the classes here. And I think we've made some good progress. Hopefully you guys will agree. I think it's really important for this game to have classes that you folks want to play. And not only you want to play once, you want to play twice, you want to play 3 times, you want to play again and again, and then you want to try other classes. When, Matt Firor, myself, and Rob Denton were talking about Dark Age, and we were figuring out, whether we could make this work. One of the things that I said, and something we followed then and followed with Warhammer as well, is that we had to have a lot of options for players. We really wanted to give you guys a lot of choices that would confuse you. That you go, well, I want to play this, but oh God, I also want to play this. And also give you another reason to keep coming back and playing the game again and again. And we want to do the same thing here. And whether it's Andrew and his focus on, combat having to be smooth, or Ben and I going over the classes, or all the people here who have played MMOs, a lot of MMOs. Tim, who you've been seeing in chat and you've seen as well before, The guy remembers more about Dark Age than I do, for gosh sakes. So we have so much knowledge here in the studio in terms of not only developing games, but also playing these games, that we know it's so important to give you guys something that you will make you want. Sorry, I'm starting to run a little low here. Will make you want to come back again and again to play Camelot Unchained. See, I said Camelot, played Camelot Unchained. And we hopefully will be able to do that. Valium, are you still enjoying yourself while making this game? Well, certainly there have been a few days, like the day after my wife's surgery, where I wasn't enjoying it quite so much. Making these games is hard. I've said that even back in the Dark Age days. You know, this is just not an easy task we set out to do. So are there days that are worse than other days? Absolutely. There are days where all of us get frustrated. There are days where we go, now, why is this so hard to get, you know, a senior programmer in here? Or why is it so hard to make something work that should have worked? That always happens. The key is, how does it feel overall to be making this game? Well, I'm still here, and I'm loving it, and there's a whole team of people out there who could be elsewhere. You know, obviously these guys are talented enough to get jobs at other studios, and you know, we're all here for a reason. And it's not because of the palatial offices, or you guys saw our special ball pit during the BSC days, or the other things that we do. They're here because they love the game they're working on. I hope they love the other members of the team that they're working with, and I hope they don't mind me so much. So yes, I do enjoy making this game, and I am quite proud of their efforts. Somebody asked a question about dual targeting. Will there be dual targeting in this game? Yes, I love dual targeting, obviously. And so would I like to see it here again? Yes, I think it's a great thing. How will we separate our game from the other Realm v. Realm games that are currently on the market? Air. That's number one. Large scale battles. Number two. Great rendering, you know, during those large scale battles. Three. The classes. The way we treat our customers. You guys have seen it already. You guys are backers at this level, or in some cases, not even backers. And you see how we treat you. You see that even here, when it would have been easy for me to do what every other, you know, studio does and send out the poor community manager, you know, to take questions and occasionally have abuse heaped on them. I haven't done that. I'll never do that. Guys who who are on our forums know how I answer their emails and private messages and talk to them on those forums, or the guys in chat who see me up at all hours and see the guys from the studio as well up all hours, or the guys who ask for refunds. You know, it's simply a way that we want to do business. And so, you know, the game is only part of it. Everything else that goes along with the game that makes this a service, because it is a service that we have to provide to you, is just as important. And we're not going to fall down on the job. Look, before the Kickstarter and during the Kickstarter, one of the questions that I was asked time and time again, and I didn't mind answering it, just as I wouldn't now, wouldn't mind answering it, is, well, Mark, when you get our money, will it all of a sudden change? Guys, you know, all the guys in chat right now who've been part of, whether it's the IT testing or alpha testing, who are on our forums, who've just seen our updates. Have you guys seen me or seen us not being taught and communicating with you, whether it's of the forums, IT, or do stuff like this. No, hasn't changed, not going to change, and it won't change once we launch either. You know, we make few promises because when people make promises, at least in my mind, you should keep them. And one of the promises I made and will continue to make is we will always treat you folks the way we want to be treated. So, hasn't changed, won't. Okay, guys, 10-minute warning. Will CU have battlefield objectives provided by CU instead of players? Yes, it has to have both, right? Places of power, for example. So there will be things that we will be putting out there for you folks oh, Medic, so nice to see you. That will help get the game started, as it were. You know, if we're going to give you this kind of rune map, well, there has to be some stuff there, or it's going to be kind of boring in the beginning. So yes, there will be things that we'll be putting out to you. And maybe you've heard of the little thing called the depths. So yes, sir, ma'am, and every possible thing in between. We're going to have a combination of a whole bunch of things. How do you get your girlfriend to play at launch? Begging? You know, I don't know. Hopefully she likes these kind of games. Maybe she's a crafter. If she's a crafter, boy, you know, she'd be awfully handy to have. Question about respecs. Will there be easy respecs? No, there will not be easy respecs. We've said that from the beginning. That isn't going to change. We will have respecs when we do the dumb. We will do respecs. We will make respecs easily available when we find that something had to take a major change. We had to make a major change to it, even if it wasn't dumb. You know, that's something that we believe in. You know, we don't want people certainly respecing in flavor of the monthing, but when we do something stupid or we feel that, look, we just have to make things different, yes, we will make respecs available because doing otherwise would be unfair. Cruzide, will Lady J be playing Camelot Unchained? Not a chance in this lifetime. Lady J is an incredibly sweet woman and very, you know, lovely wife. When it comes to tech, no, she's like the anti-tech. No, she won't be playing. It's not that she hates games. She doesn't. And she doesn't hate tech, but she is just not somebody who has any interest in playing these games. I mean, she's been, you know, we've been together now over 30 years, and, you know, I've always been, you know, more tech focused certainly than the average guy, especially when I was younger. And you think any of it rubbed off on her? No, not really. So sorry, you will not see the Lady J playing. Maybe she'll make an appearance one day to say hi to the backers and to our players, but not playing. Yeah, maybe I'll do a Lady J NPC. Maybe. Have we decided on, from Tricon, have we decided on implementing an item shaping ability? Will they be able to give weapons and armors an individual shape to some degree? That's something that Andrew actually believes in. It's something that we've thought about, and it's something that, you know, when we have something useful to say other than, yeah, it's really cool, then we'll say it. Okay, 5 minutes, guys. In terms of character augmentation, if you'd like to elaborate on what you mean by character augmentation, because there's an awful lot of things you can do to the characters, as we've discussed, whether it's the Banes and Boons, stats obviously playing a role in increasing over time and actually meaning something. So if there's something beyond that that you were referring to, please elaborate. Will there be a bounty system? Yes, that's already confirmed. It was a stretch goal. Will Arthur and Merlin be in this game as PvP, as NPCs? Sorry. Well, certainly Arthur will be. Oh, Zubai, I love you. If you asked that question and I missed it, my apologies. You know that. Will there be some kind of relic, say, a la Dark Age or something like that? There are going to be things in the world. We've said that that you will have to and want to take. Will they be relics? Will they be places of power? Will there be other things? Yes, of course. What visual changes will races that aren't giants have from the aging system? Medic, I don't know yet. We want to have them, but as the guy who said famously that their beards of dwarves and stuff would grow in Warhammer, because I believed they would, and they should have, and they didn't. I don't want to make any promises now. But yes, I'd love to have some visual changes over time besides giants. Will you be able to reserve your name first? Obviously, there was a Founders Points thing for that. So yes, you'll be able to reserve your name. Of course, there will be a wipe, just because I know somebody will ask that question. There will be a wipe after beta. We've been very clear on that, and it certainly is something we believe in. Patch notes, how is everyone's day going at CSE? Actually, we had, even with this announcement, we had a couple birthdays this week, so we had pie. Not Lady J's pie, unfortunately, but it was still good pie. Obviously, nobody is happy that we have to delay beta, but it's the right call. So other than, the sadness that we had to do it, everything is fine. Tact. Well, I'm glad the right call makes you happy. It doesn't make me happy. It doesn't make anyone here happy, unfortunately. What does make us happy, though, is the fact that, we did the right thing. And as I said in one of the interviews today, that it would be easy, for us to not say anything right now. Wait till the end of August and then delay it. Or wait till the end of August and then say, hey, we're in beta, guys. We added some things, and this is going to be a really old school beta, so there's none of the features that you thought you would have. We're not going to do that. We weren't going to do that, had no intention of doing that, and we didn't do it. So, from that standpoint, we're happy. I think everyone here, knows it was the right call. And so, it was the right call. Can we hope to see law used for names? Yep, you can. And I'm not even going to try. Musfelhelm, Tirnanag, and Spindelhalla. I lied. I said I wouldn't try, and I tried. I can't embarrass myself more than I already have with names. Okay, 1 minute to go. All right. well, I'll answer this question, but then I'll still look for another one. Why did we call ourselves City State Entertainment? Um, Originally, this company was actually going to be based in Singapore. When I first was looking for my next gig, I was talking with Singapore government, really nice people over there, loved Singapore. If anyone out there is listening, loved you guys a lot. But unfortunately, it didn't work out. But I thought the name, City State Entertainment, would have fit then, would fit now. So, City State Entertainment. Okay, so what I'm going to look for is that one final great question. So guys, when I see that one question, I will answer it, and then I will call it a chat. Some of these questions already are good, but I've answered a couple of them, so I don't want to use that as the end of the Q&A question. Also, folks, I'll be on a couple of sites answering additional questions as well after this. Good question. It's not about the game. It's about me. And so I'll answer that. One thing do you wish I could do I wish I could do better? So yeah, I like this. I really like this. A couple things, honestly, that I wish I could do better. First and foremost, I do wish that I could hire more people. And, you know, whether it's a fault of mine, of Virginia, of the studio, of the game, no matter what, as president of the company, I do wish I could do better at it. I really do. And certainly it's not a lack of effort from myself or Andrew. But I do wish I could do better, you know, there. The second way I wish I could do better, certainly, would be just to be even a better designer for you guys. You guys are worth it. I think we've put forward some really good things. I think we have some other great ideas here, but I want to even be better. I want you guys, I want everyone who's backed this game, even though I know it's impossible, I want everyone who's backed this game to look at what we end up creating and go, this was great. We loved it. We're really happy, you know, that we backed the game. I know that can't happen. You'll never satisfy everyone, and we're not trying to satisfy everyone. We even said during the Kickstarter that we know some of the decisions we were going to make would piss people off. But if I could do that even better, if I could, you know, whether as lead, you know, designer here or president or cheerleader, minus the pom-poms, I don't look good in them anymore. I hope I can do even better for you folks, because you guys deserve it. You've backed us in some of the cases. You've backed us right from the beginning. And I am deeply, deeply appreciative of that. So, that's it. And I didn't cry. See? Haha, you thought I would. But again, folks, as always, and speaking on behalf of everyone at CSU,